Yo, what's going on guys? Tanmaya for Simple Snippets back with another video tutorial on C++ programming. So in this video tutorial, we'll be covering up the topic of operator overloading. Now if you're new on this channel, make sure to subscribe to this channel because there are a lot of computer science and information technology oriented video tutorials on this channel, and you can check it out and you can turn on the notifications as well so that you'll get notified whenever I upload the new video tutorial. Now if you're a subscriber and if you're already watching a lot of video tutorials and if you've been following this entire C++ programming playlist, in the previous video tutorial we covered static data members and member functions, so you can check it out and you can see a video tutorial card on the top right corner. So now that you've subscribed to this channel, let's get started with today's topic. So we'll first go through a little bit of theory of what operator overloading is, and then later on we'll also see an example because that will give you the best idea and you'll get a clear understanding of how operator overloading helps us. So make sure you watch this entire video because in the end we'll cover the programming part. And now let's first go through the theoretical aspect of operator overloading. So C++ allows you to specify more than one definition for an operator in the same scope, which is called operator overloading. Okay, so this is one simple way to put what operator overloading is. So basically what we are doing is we are enhancing the functionality of the operators in C++. So what that means is you can redefine and overload most of the built-in operators available in C++. So just like function overloading, we can also overload operators. Now we've already talked about function overloading extensively and you can see a card on the top right corner if you don't know what function overloading is. So similarly, we can overload operators as well, which means that we'll enhance and add new functionalities to the predefined operators. Now it is again a type of polymorphism in which an operator is overloading and it gives a new definition and meaning to it. So in C++ almost any operator can be overloaded, but there are few exceptions, and these are the few exceptions which cannot be overloading. You can see we cannot overload scope operator or scope resolution operator, which is the : operator. Then we cannot overload size of operator. We cannot overload member selector, member pointer selector, and ternary operator. Now apart from these, all the operators can be overloaded. So now you have a little bit of theoretical understanding of what operator overloading is. It is pretty much similar to function overloading, but then here we are giving new functionality to the operators and not the functions. So now let's move on to the programming aspect, and I would recommend you that you type along with me the code so that you better understand what the programming is, and that's the best way to understand and learn programming. Okay, so quickly open up your C++ IDE and you can see I've already typed in a little bit of code. So what I've done is I've created a class over here. You can see class complex, and let me just first tell you what exactly are we going to achieve in this program. So this is the main function. You can see I haven't typed in anything else. So what you can do is you can pause this video and type out the code along with me. So now that you've typed in this code, let me just explain to you what exactly are we going to do. Now in the int main function, you can see that we can create basic or primitive or predefined data type variables. So I'll say int x is equal to 5, int y is equal to 4. And now what I can do is I can say int z is equal to x plus y. So when I say cout z value and I print z, you know that z will have 5 plus 4, that is 9. So in this case, this operator plus already knows what to do, and basically what it is doing is it is taking the value of x and it is adding up with y. Okay, now this is pretty much clear and pretty much understandable. But what if I want to create my own object of a class? So you can see I have created a class complex over here. So I'll say complex C1. Now inside the parameterized constructor, you can see I've created a parameterized constructor over here. I'm passing two values. So let me just first erase this out. Okay, so I have two data members in this class, that is real and image, that is imaginary. So a complex number is something which has a real part and an imaginary part, and it is a concept of mathematics. So I'm not going to go into much of a detail, but here what we're doing is in the parameterized constructor I'm passing 5, 4. Okay, so I've created object C1, which is a complex object, and I've created these and passed these values. Again I go ahead and say C2 is equal to 2, 3. And now what I'm going to do is I'm saying complex C3. I'm not passing anything, so by default it would have some random values. In fact, I can create a default constructor over here and assign these values as 0. So in the default constructor I'll say real is equal to 0, imaginary equal to 0. So for C3 default constructor is called, so we've already talked about constructors and destructors. If you don't know what they are, you can check out this video. On the top right corner I've just posted a card. So here what if I want to do C3 is equal to C1 plus C2. So in this case, you can see I have created an object which is a user defined class. So this class is created by me. So I have C1 which has 5 and 4 and I have C2 which has 2 and 3. Now I've created C3 and what I'm expecting is I want C3 is equal to C1 plus C2. So what I'm expecting is 5, that is the real part of C1, should be added with the real part of C2. So this is 2. So that C3 should have 7 and again 4 plus 3 would be 7. So let's change this. Let's do 5. So 4 plus 5 should be 9. So what C3 should have is C3 should have 7, 9. This is what I'm expecting because I've just inserted a plus operator over here. But the problem here is, let me just comment this out. So the problem here is this plus operator does not know anything about C1 and C2 and the data type of C1 and C2. Basically, it is a user defined data type. So it does not know that we have to add the real part with the real part and imaginary part with the imaginary part. So if I save this and if I say compile and run, it will give me an error. So you can see it is showing me error, no match for operator plus. You can see this error exactly over here, operator plus. So this means that the operators, the C++ operators, that is plus, minus, plus, plus and greater than equal to and so on, do not directly operate on the objects the way they operate on primitive data types. So if I were to comment this part out and uncomment this part, so here what is happening is these are the primitive data types. So here the plus would work. Let me just save this and if I say compile and run, here you can see this works perfectly fine, but it does not work for our user defined objects. So what my operator overloading will help me do is I will overload this operator plus in a way that it will understand what to do with C1 and C2 because they are user defined objects of class. So now we are going to perform operator overloading and I'll show you how to go about it. Let me just cut this part. So in order to perform operator overloading, we have to overload or use a special function. So let me just first type it out and I'll explain to you what it is. Now this function has to be inside the class because it is going to be applicable only for this class. So here I'll write complex operator. So this is a keyword that you have to use and then we have to specify which operator are you going to overload. So just give a space and the operator to be overloaded is binary operator. Binary means it is going to perform operation on 2 operands. So you can see there are 2 operands over here, C1 and C2. So I'll say operator plus. Inside opening and closing brackets, I'm going to pass complex C. So I'm going to pass a variable or pass an argument whose data type is also same as that of the class and I'll explain you why we have to do something like this. Let me just first create the function. Inside the function, I'm going to create one more complex object, complex temp. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say temp.real is equal to real plus c.real. Similarly, I'm going to say temp.image is equal to real.image plus c.image. Okay, and lastly I'm going to say return temp. Okay, so I just created a function. Now this function is a special function because we are using the keyword operator over here. So this is how we overload operators. So this is an operator overloading syntax. And the way we go about this syntax is we first write down the return type. In this case we are returning a complex object. That is the reason why we have this return type. It can be void also or any other data type or user defined data type or class name, but this can vary. But this part, the operator keyword has to be always there in operator overloading. So if you're overloading any other operator, say for example increment operator that is plus plus or decrement operator that is minus minus or any other operator for that matter, you have to use this keyword operator and then followed by the operator itself. So if you were overloading minus operator, it would be minus over here. And then since this is a function, okay, operator overloading basically is a function, but it is a special function. So we have opening and closing round brackets like what functions have. And then again, the data type or any argument to be passed is optional over here. Now in this case, we are passing an object of the same class and I'll explain you why exactly are we doing this. So inside this function, what we are doing is we are creating a temporary object of the same complex type, that is this class that we've created. We say temp.real, that is the data member of this object is equal to real. Now this real corresponds to real data member of C1. C.real corresponds to data member of C2. So I'll tell you what exactly is happening. Let me just remove the comments over here. This line, you can see line number 39. The way this works is, or the way the compiler or program sees this is C1 dot add C2. So what exactly is this? So this can be equated to this, something like this. So here C2 is being passed into the function, C1 is the object that is calling this function. So the just real data member is for C1, the just image function is for C1. The C dot real and the C dot image is because we are passing C2. So the C2 is passed over here and that is acting as this part, and then the temp is what we are creating inside the function just to hold the values, just to hold the addition values, and then we are returning temp. And since temp return type is complex, that is the data type of temp is complex, that is why the return type is over here complex. And what exactly is going to happen is the addition of C1 and C2 will return a complex object which will be stored in C3. So essentially C3 would be equal to C1.add. So this is something which is being interpreted by the compiler or understood by the compiler or the program. So we are writing C1 plus C2, that is for our ease of use and understandability. So that is what operator overloading is giving us. So we don't have to write C1.add, we don't have to create multiple functions. Now if I create one more object over here, let's create C3 only, I'll say 1,1, and if I say complex C4, and if I say C4 is equal to C1 plus C2 plus C3, so what will happen is addition of these two will happen, then the result of this would be added with C1, and then lastly it will be stored in C4. Otherwise I would have had to call the add function 2 times if I would have created a separate add function. So this advantage is what operator overloading gives us. And let me just save this and let's try to run this. But before that, let's create a print function. You can see we have already have a print function over here which is printing the real and imaginary part. So I'm saying C4 is equal to C1 plus C2 plus C3. So I'll just say C4.print. So let's see what it prints. It should print 5 plus 2 plus 1, which is 8 plus 10i. It should print 8 plus 10i. So 8 would be the real part and 10 would be the imaginary part. Let's save this. Let's try to execute this. I'll say compile and run. And there you go. You can see the output 8 plus 10i, which means that the operator was overloaded successfully. Initially, when I did not have this operator overloading function, you remember that it was throwing us an error when I was trying to add the objects C1, C2. But now that I've created this special function, which is an operator overloading function, now the plus operator knows that when an object of complex data type is to be added, it knows that it has to add the imaginary part of C3 with the imaginary part of C2 and real part of C3 with real part of C2. And same goes on with C1 and C2. So that's how it works. And this was just an example of overloading the plus operator, which is a binary operator in this case because it is operating on 2 operands at a time. So we have binary operator, then we have unary operator. Now unary operator would be something like increment operator, which is plus plus or minus minus. So it would require only one operand, right? When I would say C1 plus plus, which means that it is only needing one operand. So this type is known as unary operator. Then we also have ternary operator, which operates on 3 operators, but we cannot overload that ternary operator. You can see, or you've seen just now in the slideshow. Anyways, this was just an example of how operator overloading works. And if you are still wondering what exactly is the advantage of operator overloading is that it gives us more flexibility of using operators with our user-defined data types. So instead of creating functions for adding and subtracting, you can directly use these operators with our user-defined objects. But then you have to perform operator overloading, and this gives us more intuitive way, and this is more easy to understand, right? C1 plus C2, and then behind the scenes the compiler or the program already knows that it has to add 5 with 2 and 4 with 5. So it gives us more understandability and more flexibility by overloading these operators. So yeah, that's it for this video, guys. I hope you understood what operator overloading is and how it works and what are the benefits, and we also saw an example, so it must be very clear both theoretical and practically. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and make sure you subscribe to this channel. Peace.